Aloha, I am June Jones of the Houston Roughnecks, and this is the XFL show.
If you smell what the XFL is cooking.
Welcome, football fans. This is For the Love of Football. This is the road to 2023, and this is the XFL show. I'm Alan.
Oh, and I'm Bryant.
And this is the first time we're in the same room for an episode since St. Louis Battlehawks, New York Guardians 2020. In person, face to face, ojo por ojo. That doesn't really make sense, but it does make sense that this is episode 180, and it's a complete 180 from the last time we were in the same room doing this show. Bryant, we had a lot of XFL to talk that weekend. We were in the middle of XFL heaven, and now, dare I say it, we're in the middle of, it's not XFL hell, but it's like purgatory. We're just waiting.
We're just waiting. We're back in 2018. It's like we put the flux capacitor on the back of our cars and went back into 2018. It is a complete 180 in a lot of aspects, right? It's a complete 180 from 2020. It's a complete 180 from last week. It's a complete 180 from 3 months ago when they were talking to the CFL. This show and the league has turned upside down, and now we're just trying to figure out what we're going to do next.
Yeah, we've had not only the whole, if you put it in perspective of the St. Louis episode we did where we were really just groggy from eating a bunch of toasted raviolis and in bliss, football bliss. From that perspective, right now we are with no XFL news coming out. The last XFL news we had, of course, was the end of CFL talks, and we are just back on the road, but we do have a kickoff date, or at least year, 2023. I told you I was going to put that back in the intro. I did it.
You did a good job. It's a year. It's something to look forward to. At least 2023 is when I'll be leaving the show because I can no longer talk about.
When football starts, Bryant's gone. That's the whole gimmick for him. But we're gonna really focus on 2023 today. It's a turning point. We're in together doing the show, so we're gonna talk about some bigger things today at the end of the show. So you better be ready because we're gonna talk about kind of like your hopes and your dreams, and if you will it, you can. If you think it, you could will it. And we're gonna talk about the best case scenarios for 2023.
Best case scenarios, I think, is a good starting point because we need some good news here. We're not getting much news. It's not bad news, just not getting much news. But at least we'll get into it all here when we get.
724-5654-XFL is the number for you to call. Bryant doesn't know what to do right now because usually while I'm saying this part, he's clicking and pressing stuff. We'll do it in post. Don't worry. At XFL Show on social media is where you can hit us up on Twitter or Instagram or wherever you're
Facebook.
at. Not what if you do that? I don't know. TikTok, maybe. You start the TikTok yet?
Not yet. One day.
No, XFL.show is the YouTube channel. If you're listening to the show, you can watch it. Did you know? You should. We look great, especially when we're in the same room with a fancy iPhone recording us. This camera is great. It's better than any camera.
A great studio.
It's a great studio, except that when the
when
logo goes out, the backdrop, when the backdrop goes out. This is fun. I like this, dude. If we did this every week, it'd be a way different show. I definitely would be bringing props more props than we normally have.
One could say is we are at a 180 from where we started in terms of the quality of the show when it comes to the production value.
Oh yeah,
and that is because of our dear, good, longtime good friends at Pretty Easy Podcast.
Absolutely, Pretty Easy Podcasts bringing you this week's show. Go to Pretty Easy Podcasts. .com right now if you want to start your own podcast about anything. They produce all kinds of shows, not just football shows. I was listening to a show about romance novels the other day brought to you by Pretty Easy Podcast because I saw it on their site looking at how they represent us. And I was like, ooh, what are these ladies talking about? Dirty romance novels. And it was great. And it sounded great because it was put together by Pretty Easy Podcasts.
Well, they make podcasting, look pretty easy. Trust me, they make it look. It's not easy, but they make it
I don't think it's easy for them, but they make it look easy. We just we put the show together, we talk, and they do the rest. They can do it for you. So check it out, prettyeasypodcast.com. Let's dink and dunk real quick around XFL social media, Bryant. We did do basically a whole other show this week. Was not in person for that one, but it was very easily done, and it was a fun episode. It was a bonus, good, crisp interview with TSN's Dave Naylor. We needed to, at least for our sake, put a bow on the CFL saga as it relates to the XFL, and who better than Dave Naylor? Everybody has to check that out if you haven't already heard or watched it, because Dave Naylor put into perspective a ton of stuff when it comes to why the CFL had probably internal strife. Not strife. Well, they have strife. They have business strife, but disagreements on the XFL relationship. And he also put into perspective the big rumor about the Toronto Argonauts potentially joining the XFL, which I know a lot of people are talking about.
We basically said that we could do a whole podcast on just what's going on. Definitely answered my questions. I know he answered some of your questions. We talked to it. I don't know if we put a bow on it. We might have put you would put a tombstone on it at this point, but we'll see.
You think tombstone? He said don't rule it out down the road. They at this time
never rule out anything, but you never know. It just doesn't seem.
Yeah.
For now, there's a tombstone on it. We can always take that and come and bring it back up. But it was a great interview. Check it out. XFL.show. It's on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. But Dave Naylor, good, long-time, personal, good friend of ours.
Close, personal, long-time, dear good friend.
He even said he thought of us when this whole announcement went down, which made me
thought about how hurt we were because, I
was relieved. I don't have to watch that much football this summer.
You'll still be watching single game betting. Don't forget. But yeah, check that out as it is about the CFL. So check it out. And it's over with the CFL talk. I don't know how much more will be coming up. We have a little bit that we're going to go, just the reaction to that show coming up in the cover too. But we're moving on.
Maybe players will be the only thing we look at. How good are players in the XFL and how they're performing in the CFL.
Cam Phillips.
Cam Phillips was like the
Tie Cats. They have big hopes and dreams for him, and they are the favorite to win it. Hamilton. So the Tiger Cats have one of the best XFL players on their team. So that stuff we'll be watching.
Our offensive player of the year. So definitely we'll look at players, even coaches.
Jamie Elizondo and the Elk Vipers. So yeah, we'll get into some CFL more down the road, but it's not going to be as intense as it has been. Obviously, we are going to be doing probably a lot more speculating. I asked you, so okay, now we're a year and 9 months ish from kickoff. Where were we at this time leading up to 2020? And you said what? We were just BSing.
We were doing this. I mean, we were BSing. We were doing our cities,
but we were having a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had tons of fun. It was cities. We were just kind of thinking of what our imaginations could bring to the XFL.
The more imaginative part of the road. Let me ask you
this: with the XFL the way it is now, or the way it was in 2020, I think it kind of I don't want to say poisoned our brains, but it's basically overtaken whatever 2001 was, because we're completely two different aspects. Our conversations before 2020 were like, oh, how was 2001 and what can that be for the XFL? Now it's not so much 2001, it's more 2020 and how that's going to transpire to 2023.
That's true. Yeah, and we were thinking of
Extreme.
The LA Extreme, and we were thinking of it was going to be as intense and ridiculous.
Jake wanted to people kill each other on the field and stuff like that.
And now it's a lot more, okay, we have all this great stuff we liked from 2020, and how's it going to proceed? Plus we have the monkey wrench of international. We're going to get into all of that coming up, but these are more of the topics you're going to get on the show moving forward, because the CFL stuff is done. And we're ready to move on. We're in person. We want to do all kinds of fun stuff, so we're gonna dream together today. We can do a quick rock paper scissors. All right, Rochambeau, and I'm feeling good the rest of the show. Real quick, Dink and Dunkage too. Close personal, long time, dear good friend, Sam Schwartstien was on Twitter because the NFL released the rule book for the season, and he said, which XFL rules do you want to see implemented in the NFL in the next 10 years?
Yes.
Kickoff. Well, you just said yes.
I said yes.
Right? Kickoff, obviously. The kickoff, most of all.
I think the one that
I want a kickoff in the NFL.
The tiered points, the tiered extra points.
No, that
game's interesting.
It's great. I love it, but that's an XFL thing. I don't want to see you're saying that like the XFL won't exist in 10 years. I don't want to think like that.
That's a good point.
See, thinking the XFL exists in 10 years, I want that to be an XFL thing. But the NFL adopting the kickoff,
Do you think the
that's fine.
NFL maybe, and there's no hiding the fact that the tier of player is better in the NFL, way better. Do you think if they put that rule in place in the NFL that there would just be too many kickoff returns?
No.
You don't think so? We
No.
got 2 of them in 5 weeks.
Good. We'll have more kickoff returns, but not like a ridiculous amount where it's really hard to...
You don't think so?
No, I think it'll be balanced.
I think with the players and the coaches being at a much higher level in the NFL, I think they
the
could
kickoff team is at a higher level too.
Yeah, but I just feel like you got a man running 4.2 or something like that.
Actually, how about my answer is none of the XFL rules in the NFL because I want those all to just be in the XFL in 10 years.
I would take the not the play clock so much, but like the clock rules.
The hurry up and get the ball spotted. Get the ball spotter.
Get up there, and then also like the 2-minute warning rules where you kill the clock.
And the Sky Ref with the Xbox controller.
That works too.
I'd like that too. All right, well, that's enough dinking and dunking at XFL show. If you want to hit us up or on the XFL fan line, Bryant's going to play the rest of the show on the Xbox controller. Who plays like that?
No. Someone was doing
a referee?
replay like this. He was doing the replay like this. It was
a little too suggestive for television, I think, for a football game, but whatever. All right, let's get into it. It's this week's Cover 2.
Good crisp football. Yeah.
So you look at all the reactions to all of our shows, right? You see the comments and the questions. And after the Dave Naylor episode came out just a couple days ago, I saw very intelligent predictions. People taking our conversation and then thinking and then imagining a future for the XFL and CFL. And I liked a lot of them, but I picked out for the Cover 2 one of them that really caught my eye and my attention. And then also one text we got as well. So let's start off with Mike Horrigan on YouTube. Thanks for watching, Mike. Said, quote, "My prediction is that once a spring league can establish itself in North America, it will then become the go-to landing spot for the best spillover quarterback talent available not signed in the NFL. Once that happens, the other talent follows, and the CFL will relegate itself to a senior league or something like that. Just my opinion, my sad, sad opinion." I'm assuming Mike is a CFL fan and they see a bleak future for the CFL, Bryant. But I like that because we've been saying a North American Spring League is going to hit, it's going to land, it's going to stick, and it's going to be a thing that people are going to look forward to every single year. Hopefully it's the XFL, and they're going to get an influx, more and more of quality players, maybe the secondary quarterbacks, which Mike brings up. And if you do that, you really hurt the CFL in terms of the talent they could bring in. Because right now, like I say, CFL has quality players.
They do have. I mean, the XFL had quality players too, right? They both did. So, it's kind of an obvious answer to this. And yes, once a spring league establishes itself, the second tier player are going to want to play there. Like, that's just what happens, right? Because you have a lot of players who are like, I can't make it in the NFL, I'm done. Mm-hmm. But they're still great players. They're just like, okay, I'm done. Because I can't make enough in the XFL. If you can start making those, $100,000s of dollars playing in the spring, well, then, yeah, of course you're going to do that instead of going off into your future career. Senior league, I don't know. Back to the point of, hey, once I'm done playing in the XFL, do I really want to go up north and play for half the price? Who knows? Look, the CFL has enough problems of its own. Hopefully this doesn't happen because that's just going to add another layer on top of it that they probably don't need to be dealing with. But it's a great prediction. I do think when, Alan, you keep saying it and I second it, is that a spring league will stick. It just has to be the right timing. I thought the XFL had the best opportunity. This was the right time.
And this kind of predicts that once that happens, it will hurt the CFL ultimately in terms of the players they're bringing in. That's got to happen, right?
And in fairness, the CFL has been around forever, and they haven't done that. They haven't established themselves as that go-to league if you want to continue playing football and get paid at a high level. They haven't done that.
No.
So the XFL, unless the CFL can figure out how to do that, this is where the XFL can come in and try to establish themselves as that option.
Yeah, it's the place you could go keep playing football, but to get paid what you want to get paid, or if that's
it's not enough to not do something.
Huge
in
leap.
Season.
It's a big leap,
right?
Yeah. So and staying in your home country is not as tough of a decision, especially when you're probably going to be seeing players leaping from whatever spring league hits. USFL will keep you in mind too, and going to the NFL. Like, people will see that the CFL could be damaged. Mike makes a good point there. And Dave Naylor, with all he said about the business end of the CFL and their future, that makes a lot of sense, that prediction, Mike. Again, thank you for watching. Terry, though, the part 2 of this part 1 of the cover 2, texted in on the XFL fan line. He said, so the majority of Canadians want 4 downs, but a small minority of fans in the CFL teams didn't want 4 downs. I get that, right? Reacting to our Dave Naylor conversation, of course, the big market teams, the cities where most Canadians live, Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, British Columbia, those are the entities of the CFL that wanted the XFL involved, but lost out because the smaller market teams with less people living in those cities like Regina and Edmonton did not want the XFL.
The
so
CFL
the minority rules in the CFL.
The CFL doesn't find itself in a financial crisis. It finds itself in a big city financial crisis. Mm-hmm. It's not everyone isn't the problem.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ties here to World War II, by the way. But it's not all the teams that are in a financial crisis. It's the big teams, the ones that are probably you're banking on actually making some.
Yeah, Terry, if you want a way too short of a summary of our conversation with Dave Naylor and what to take out of it, maybe it is, the big cities have no pull in the CFL right now. And the small market team said, we're fine. Let's keep going. And let's see if they can keep going with doing what they're doing. That's where we left off, and that's where the CFL's at.
Now, is there other cities, and I mean this with sincerity, is there other cities that are not the big cities that will take teams or want teams? Like, how many cities are there in Texas?
Manitoba?
Manitoba. How many big cities are there?
Name another city in Manitoba.
How many big cities are there in Saskatchewan?
The only other Manitoba I know is Handsome Dick, Manitoba, the punk rocker. That's all I know. I can't. My geography's not ready.
I only know that
for today's
Toronto
show.
And Hamilton in Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Is there another city in Ontario?
Oh, what's the one right by Detroit? I don't
Ottawa?
know.
No. Montreal. Isn't
it's like right at Windsor.
Windsor. Okay.
Yeah.
So Ottawa. There's already a team in Ottawa, right?
Yep. You got the Red Blacks.
So then,
and they've lost a team before.
Is there another team is there another city in Quebec that you can go to?
Quebec City.
Oh, Quebec City.
Yeah.
What other cities did the NHL leave that we could go to?
Hartford. That's in America. I saw a lot of reaction also that not to get any. I didn't pick any of them out, but I did see a couple people say,
He ain't ready.
"Oh, the CFL can move forward and expand into the U.S." Which they've already tried.
You had free expansion with the XFL.
Yeah, that
free
unless
expansion.
It's with the XFL. Do you see that happening?
I mean,
yeah,
no,
same.
Not right now anyway. But Dave Naylor put it in best words. He basically said that with the CFL not moving in to the U.S., you basically, with the XFL to U.S., you're basically kind of killing U.S. expansion at this moment in time. You have enough problems of your own. This was kind of like a freebie. And if you're not going to give control to the league and you're going to keep it on an individual team basis, which is what's going on right now, then are you actually going to want to expand to more U.S. cities where who knows if owners actually want to pay the money to lose? Yeah,
it's the CFL situation. We left it with Dave Naylor, and just every time we bring it up, it is mind-boggling. It's confounding.
I don't get it.
It doesn't seem like it should be that hard for them to be.
If the AAF was
financially
in Canada,
stable,
they would have been fine.
Yeah. They should be financially stable.
They are financially stable because they have owners with money that will pay. But it's not a great business plan. Don't get me wrong. What did he say? It's like a yacht. It doesn't make me money, but I like to have it. It's my thing. I want to spend money on it.
They need to continue to find owners like who don't care if they lose
would you rather
money.
Would you rather have the Argos or would you rather have a yacht though? That's the question.
If you were a billionaire, would you own a football team knowing it was going to lose you money every year, millions of dollars?
If I was good, if I could be good, maybe.
Your team.
But I don't know how many NFL owners are losing money right now.
How could you?
Right, exactly.
How could you lose money owning an NFL team?
And how many? When was the last time an NFL owner's like, I'm losing money. I needed
probably when the Browns went away.
Everyone's talking about like Kroenke and making a $2.5 billion stadium. Everyone's doing that.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Well,
the Raiders basically did that.
Yeah, they all act like they're financially struggling just to get the stadium made and paid for by
the
with
Oakland
tax
A's
dollars.
are trying to go to Vegas and pay for their own stadium.
Yeah.
They're the Oakland A's. A movie about them being poor was made, and they have the money to make a $1.2 billion stadium. Like, come on.
Yeah.
These owners have money, and they're not spending it for no reason.
I got to move it on to the part 2 of the cover 2. But yeah, that's, man, it's just every time my brain gets twisted. All right. Lots of mentions also today, is this live on tape recording. The NFL released their protocol for the if your team has an outbreak of COVID-19, and a lot of XFL mentions on social media. I just want to squash this real quick. Anyone who says, "Oh, DeAndre Hopkins might have to go to the XFL if he doesn't like the vaccine protocol for the NFL," not happening. Ultimately, these players will either fall in line and abide by the NFL rules, either getting vaccinated or not getting sick, or they'll just not play. I don't see like DeAndre Hopkins saying, "Well, I'm just going to go to the XFL." That won't happen.
I don't see any players really doing. Maybe some players that are down the totem pole a little bit, but the XFL, cannot afford to pay DeAndre Hopkins. They can't afford to play these players. It's an interesting kind of conundrum for these players, right? Because it's been about what they can, what the not getting vaccine does to themselves, but now affecting your teammates, affecting your pocket, affecting all these things. You'd be surprised to see all these decisions happening. These are things that nobody's had to deal with.
And if you didn't hear, the NFL's protocol basically is it's the 18-week season. So throughout the entire season, if there's a outbreak on a team of among unvaccinated players, that team that has the outbreak will forfeit, take an L, and that's a loss. The game's canceled, then they lose. That's the rule for the NFL. So that's what a lot of the reaction was. But I just thought it was funny. You search, okay, who's talking XFL today? And that was a lot of the XFL talk was, oh, maybe they'll go to the XFL. Nah, not happening.
I'm not saying the XFL is going to require a vaccine either, but they can't afford to lose games. Because people have an outbreak. Right. So if DeAndre Hopkins is leaving,
that's why 2023 is the goal, because we'll live in hopefully a post COVID type world.
But the XFL can't afford to lose games, so they're definitely going to have just as strict, if not stricter, restrictions when it comes to vaccines, or even just COVID itself if it's still around.
All right, well, that's a lot of fun. I think it would be interesting to see just randomly if one guy's like, I don't have freedom in the NFL, I'm going to go play for the XFL. I would love it. It would be a great thing to talk about, but I don't see it happening. I had another thing for the cover too, but I don't want to get into it because we're going to need stuff to talk about. But so the CFL alignment didn't happen. And then that got me thinking, well, why
NFL
can't
alignment
or USFL? Maybe.
Would you call it the US? Now I asked you this question before. Who has more name notoriety?
Ooh, I'd say the XFL, at least
now.
More people our age and younger. So that's mid 30s and younger.
Early 30s.
Early? We're mid.
I'm not into my mid until I'm 38.
That's the end of the 30s.
That's barely getting into my late 30s.
All right, so 2 arguments to look forward to in future episodes. When do your mid-30s start? And what about an XFL-USFL partnership? Is it possible? Would you be interested? How could it work?
Lots of questions to be answered there, but we have a long road, guys, so we're going to save that and put it in our little pockets.
Yes. And maybe it'll come up right now during Manifest Mania, because we're going to manifest some stuff.
I put it away, and now you're bringing it back.
You could. It's up to you. You can will your own dream here, dude. It's time for Manifest Mania, or a Manifest, or a Manifest. What'd you call it? Manifest?
You said Manifest Fest.
Yeah, Manifest Fest.
How about a Manifest?
It's a manifest, a party where we manifest the road to 2023 in this week's Hot Read. So, they say, if you will it, it is no dream, dude. The XFL, CFL talks are over. 2022 has moved to 2023. The USFL is coming back, apparently. All kinds of twists and turns on the road to kickoff. And now we're kind of in a spot, well, what is kickoff? What does this look like now? Because we had an idea of, a partnership with the CFL. That's what we're focused on. Now it's something completely different. The word international was thrown in there as well. So there's kind of a new imagining on your end as an XFL fan about what this league is going to look like when it kicks off finally. And with all those variables, all these bumps in the road, if you will, what are your dreams at now for the XFL as a big fan? What do you hope comes of all this? What do you want it to look like? You believe it, you can make it happen. Bryant will start us off. Manifest the rest of the road to 2023.
Well, the entire road, that's a long time. When we're talking about how many weeks are we?
We don't know the kickoff date, though.
So you're talking about 52 and then at least another 16.
I'll tell you now, I'm operating as if the kickoff is April of 2023.
So that's 15 and then another 12.
But I'm operating.
Sorry, 52 and another 12. So that's what, 64? Plus another half a year this year. So that's
math.
Yeah, 26.
Yeah.
So we're about 100 weeks-ish.
Yeah.
Maybe just
is that a year and 9 months?
Sure.
Okay.
So that's a long road. Lots of stuff can happen, right? So if you kind of go back, we're not in our trains or anything like that. Like, what was it, the truck? The road?
The big old truck.
Yeah. Where were we on the road? But I will say that around this time, there wasn't much happening. If you kind of put the two on parallel tracks, I guess we'll say, and put them side by side, we weren't really doing much. Oliver Luck didn't even get hired, in theory, for another 2 or 3 months from today. He did get hired, I believe it was either June 1st or July. I want to say it was July 1st. But that's still, in theory, if we're kicking off in April, about 2 or 3 months away. So what do I want to see happen? I want to get some football people in there. I want to start talking. I want them to talk the way Oliver Luck used to talk about football.
Doing the rounds on radio shows and podcasts and having press conferences.
Things like that. We want teams. I want teams next because I think that's the biggest question. We always cared about the rules. I don't really care about the rules anymore because as long as they say, hey, we're going to do the same rules, I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem with that. Like, that's what I want. So I think for the rest of this year, and I'll do this throw it back to you. This year I want to see a football guy come in, multiple if possible. I want to see cities by the end of the year. And I want to see that the rule book will be intact for the most part this year.
In 2021. What year is it?
2020.
So
Mid-30s.
Chief Football Officer. Paramount. Okay. That's first. So we're just.
Well, we need someone to talk football.
Okay.
It's not I'm always talking to you, and you're a great guy and all, but come on.
I mean, I am, and now I'm here. At least for
now.
this episode. And who knows how many more. I don't know. I might just stay here. He's got a great his studio's so much nicer than mine. I didn't realize he's got way more screens, easier access to everything, and nobody's run in here once and yelled at us. People don't know how many times I have to hit stop.
Until later.
Oh, man. But, okay, for me, for the rest of this year, I'm with you. The Chief Football Officer, first and foremost, the point person that can at least direct where our attention as fans should go, keeping us informed, and also that, is making sure that the game is going to be protected, because I felt like the football was very protected in terms of making sure nothing screwy was done like 2001. A lot of people were concerned with that. Will that happen this time around? That's something that should be on people's minds. Like, if you mess with the 2020 rule book, you can change it a little and still, I think, make it good football. But all the effort that was put into that, I mean, I don't, if it's not broke.
Even effort, just the money.
Yeah,
if you save yourself a lot of money if you just kind of go with what they've already done.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I don't know how wild the imagination of the new ownership is.
We're going to play 3 down football.
Yeah, is it 3 down? Like, I don't know. So that's one thing. As a football fan, you're concerned. Like, is the football going to be protected? Is the rule book going to be protected, or at least mostly kept intact? So that's obviously the first concern for the rest of the year. So that Chief Football Officer role we've heard about potentially being filled by someone. We want that filled this year. And then also the cities is next. You want to know where we're playing, how many teams, and that includes the international aspect. I'm hoping by the end of this year we know what that means. That's one thing I'm really hoping that we get that soon, because when you say international, what does that mean? Because this sport is very much a United States of America sport. The CFL has to have their own league. They don't even have an NFL team, and they're not playing in the NCAA. So that's something completely different than we're all used to. How does that work?
And even in like the European sense, right? Like all the games that happen in Europe, teams get a week off after those games, right? They sometimes they don't even play for a while. So me, the U.S., right, is where football lives. And if you're going to go international, what does that mean? You already have enough problems with the 48 continental states. You're really not going to play in Hawaii. You're not going to play in Alaska, right? Unless that's international to you, but it really is international. But it seems like it because it's so far away.
Does Puerto Rico count?
It's still not in the 48. So you use your dollars, though. So if you're going to broaden your borders, I guess you could say, where do you go? How far do you go, and when, and how often? Mm-hmm. Being like, LA has to go play in Mexico City. That's not that bad, but if New York has to go play in Mexico City. So
I'm hoping, and we're talking dreams. I'm thinking big here. I'm hoping it is. I'm hoping 3 teams. I'm hoping Toronto, Mexico City, and London.
London,
right out. That's what I want to see.
I don't know if I need London. I can see Mexico City. I can see Toronto. I don't know.
If you're going international, you better go to Europe. They love football. They love the NFL there. They do.
Love the NFL.
That's working, and those are just one-offers.
Now, I don't know the calendars there, but are you competing with the Champions League? Are you competing with?
Oh yeah,
things like that. That you're gonna be a problem.
Yeah, sure.
It's bigger.
Yeah, but the
NFL attracts a full stadium twice a year in Europe.
Yeah,
sometimes 3 times a year.
But and what about television though? Too. I mean, that's. There's
that is true. You want to get more eyeballs in it.
Yeah.
Now, do you do a London team? Is it London where you want to go? Do you go to Spain, Barcelona?
I mean,
do you go to Italy?
I think
one would be more than enough, but I just don't know if London's the right spot.
I think the UK is where you go, just because they've been exposed to it. I feel like
when you say 3 international, are you keeping the 8?
The 8
yeah.
Well.
No, see,
you're gonna have to maybe add a 9th.
Oh, you definitely have to add a 9th.
Yeah.
You need to have an even.
Team 9 is going to get a city. That's what in my.
I think you can go to San Antonio. You can look. There's a lot of talk out there, and I love Mike Mitchell, and he keeps alluding to the fact that the LA team might move to San Diego or something like that. I hope not. And to me, here's why I don't think it will happen. I know we're getting to this conversation all of a sudden, but how it's The Rock. It's Danny Garcia. It's Red. Why would they want a team in LA?
Yeah, exactly. You have to.
And even if LA loses you money, kind of like your yacht. Maybe LA's your yacht.
Well, and I'm manifesting this. LA's not losing the Wildcats in my XFL 2023.
They might lose the Wildcats, but they're not going to lose a team.
It
might not be the Wildcats anymore.
Keep the Wildcats. Great. Yeah, come on.
Maybe it's up there. Don't worry, it's up there.
All the Wildcats. Cool office.
Maybe the LA is their yacht, where they kind of keep them. They're like, okay, we're not really making money. We're losing a little bit of money, but we need to be in LA because LA makes us look legit. Same thing with New York.
Do the 9th team in San Diego then.
Put the 9th team in San Diego. Put a team in San Antonio.
Oakland.
There's I don't know. I just don't feel like LA would ever leave. I also want to know when. We don't know exactly when we're kicking off. I want to know when we're going to kick off.
Well, April 2023. So I'm putting my road together. If this is my call, we're going to have 12 teams. We're going to have 3 international in those cities I said. You're going to have a 9th team. If you want to put it in San Diego, cool. I would probably lean towards... I would move the Tampa team to Orlando so the Vipers can go to Orlando or change the name, whatever you want to do. And, I think if you're doing a 9th city in the States, do you go anywhere specific? I probably would say San Diego.
I don't know. To me, those games.
Oh wait, timeout. I'm going Vegas.
I know those games looked way better in San Antonio than in any other city. That dome, the Alamo Dome, rocking.
It's an old place though.
Here it looks good on TV.
Yeah.
Who cares? Saw Royal Rumble there.
I
saw John Cena win 16, number 16 there.
I know. I'm jealous of that, but I would go Vegas actually. The more I think,
Vegas?
Just go to.
Only place to play is that new spaceship that they have there.
Do it.
We're gonna have to have a deeper conversation.
The Raiders are like selling out like crazy. They're not even good.
Yeah, half the tickets are from LA.
Exactly.
You know the LA. They sold more season tickets to the Raiders in LA than they did to the Chargers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That makes sense. Growing up here, I mean, did you know a Charger fan growing up? I knew like 2. Yeah, like they're few and far between. That makes sense.
I don't think I know a Charger fan.
Yeah, currently living in Los Angeles.
I'm trying to think of somebody that I know that goes for the. I don't think I know one.
If you're an LA Charger fan, a real one, hit us up at XFL Show.
Largo.
All right, I'm gonna go Vegas, and then you're moving on. So they announced the cities. We're looking forward to a 12-team league, and then you said the other thing you wanted to know was the date. April is like really big for me now. I'm like,
you want it to be April?
Kickoff in April.
No basketball, no hockey, baseball.
I don't care about.
Well, Alan, you
I don't
texted
care
me the
about
other
the
day, or you
competition.
told me the other day. I don't care about the competition, but this is why you got to care about the competition. It's not competition. This is not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You texted me the other day. You're like, it sucks. There's only baseball and Gold Cup to bet on.
There what? Well, that's because the Gold Cup and all that took away a bunch of MLS that I would have bet on too.
Yeah, but even then, well, that's true. But there's not a lot going on
Yeah.
right now, and I think it's not competition. It's just what you have in front of you.
Yeah.
If you could start in April, and you can end before college football, maybe
Do
you're
it.
the lead-in to the football
Yeah.
season rather than the end. Maybe people get hyped up for football.
So if you're
watching
doing
you.
a 10-week season,
What was my smart season? My smart season started in April. It went 12 weeks with, I want to say it was 3 divisions with 6 teams, so it was at 18 teams a level. But if you can do a 12-week season with a 2-week playoff, gets you right into about the beginning of July.
beginning of July.
Yeah, but if you push it out even more or have more 14 games, like I don't mind the games.
Yeah.
You have 12 teams, 14. Ooh, maybe I'll do that this week. I'll
A smart schedule. Manifest a new schedule. I'm still on that. I'm on that ending early July kick.
You
I
want
like
the
that.
4th of July kickoff?
Ish.
Or
Yeah.
do you think people would rather watch your championship game on the 4th of July or go out and blow their hands up?
Watch the game. You wake up. You watch people scarf down hot dogs. Then you go scarf down hot dogs.
Right into ESPN from Coney Island into
Yeah.
the championship game?
Yeah.
I like it.
Or maybe just make that your all-star game and play right there at the Brooklyn Cyclones stadium. I
there
don't
you
know
go.
but I'm thinking about it. That's like my ideal scenario is that April's announced. I don't know if it gets announced by the end. Do you think the kickoff date is announced before the end of the year? I don't.
I mean, they did before in 2020 when
They
they
did.
announced teams. They announced exactly when they were playing, which was the week after.
So if we're getting teams, we're getting a date, you think?
Well, I mean, that's what happened. Whether or not it happens again, who knows?
Do you think right now ownership is like saying, okay, here's what they did, like we do, like the timeline? Do you think they actually look at what was done in terms of spacing out announcements and putting the league together in just the order in which everything was done? Do you think they pay any attention to that? You'd have to be be a smart business person.
I think that there is a huge sense within Danny Garcia, The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and Redbird Capital that they liked what the XFL did in 2020 because Jeffrey Pollock's still there.
Yeah,
the man ran the show.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? We never heard from him. We had him once on our show, but he ran the operations part of this thing. And to see that he stuck around, I bet you they wish that Oliver Luck was still around and that they didn't have that, falling out with Vince McMahon. Like, that's what I'm hoping. I think they saw this and they're like, hey, they did a pretty good job. We're going to keep Jeff. We're not. I mean, maybe I just don't see it. Jeffrey Pollock would have already been gone if they needed someone. If they wanted someone else to do the operations piece. So I think there was a line of succession when it came to what happened that they're probably going to still keep. They have more time. People don't think this, but they have more time because there's so much that was already done.
Assuming they're gonna be utilizing all the stuff
I just
that
don't
was
see how they can. Now,
already
if they're
done.
not, then we're
Rule
into big
books.
problems.
Yeah.
because then you're going to run out of time.
Yeah. But the other interesting thing is, like the scouting aspect, like the people that they had in charge of that, like Eric Galco's moved on. People moved on. Doug Whaley, football operations people. So like filling those roles, while there are a lot of people that probably want those gigs, there aren't people who are as good at doing, especially from the scouting perspective, like finding that seemed like such a not a just like a guy like Eric Galco, especially like the guy pinpointed an opportunity himself on scouting players and that are way out there, way on the fringes, and putting things together just so that there would be enough pool of for them to choose from. Like, are there people doing that currently? Like, I'm sure there are people attempting to, but not on the level that guy was. Like, that's just one example, I think, of like that stuff might be how much that would hurt the XFL if they're not able to do that kind of thing, because when you have The Rock and the way that they're going to promote it, it might attract players anyway. But that was just one of the interesting things that I think was overlooked by a lot, not us, but like a lot of people, like how the league was put together with putting the personnel together, finding the players. That's a very difficult job, and they had people working crazy hours and and like maniacs to get the rosters filled.
They had podcasters working crazy out.
He worked.
That's true. Look, I'm not trying to take anything away from Eric Galko and his team, and because they did a tremendous job. But I do feel like players will gravitate towards this more than anything. There is a consensus every year. You know, you look at the Mel Kipers of the world, right? That do this for a living. He's really good at saying the thing and presenting it and doing the scouting and all that stuff. He's great at it. But most of this information is kind of it's available for everyone. Like, everyone knows this. Everyone knows Trevor Lawrence is the number one quarterback. Everyone knows who's number 2. Everyone knows about Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Just because you present it better than most doesn't make you better than most.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of a lot of people out there who can do the job, because most of that player pool is just okay. Give me who we're gonna have in the XFL in 2023. Oh, just give me the cut list from 2022. Let's see what happened, and let's say, okay, all these players are available. Here you go. Here's your player pool. Like, you are gonna find players. You're gonna see a lot of players out there that you've never heard of. That's great. And you know what? They're probably gonna reach out to a guy like Eric Galko. Let me rephrase it. They're probably gonna hire somebody, and then coaches are gonna reach out to that person that is like Eric Galko.
Yeah, but is there a guy like you said, presenting it and you just take the cut list? But then there's also guys not even on that list that are being plucked by dogs that are out there grinding and scouting and finding people to bring. Yeah, those guys.
Go to Mexico and find a guy that pitches 150 miles an hour.
Nick Truesdale bounced around some big places, but ultimately it's like a community college standouts, like those kind of players. That takes work. So that's one aspect of it.
International aspect too on that, by the way.
Of course.
If you're going to bring international players, you're going to have people out there as well.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see how that happens. And I'm really jacked to see like what the football operations team looks like. Because those were the guys that gave us the most information on our show, and they were the coolest.
We were like friends. We'd say, I sat and talked to Sam Schwartstien like 4 times for over an hour.
So seeing who our new friends will be I'm just, if it can't be the same people, I'm just hoping it's people who work as hard, and I'm willing that they'll also be on the show. That's about what I'm looking forward to if I'm manifesting the rest of my road to 2023. And ultimately, when the dust settles and we're there at kickoff, to me it looks like a 12-team league, 3 international squads. You've got an awesome we didn't bring up TV deal, but I think a ESPN likely TV partner, maybe 1 or 2 games on another network. I doubt it's Fox now because of USFL, so I'm going to make the call and say NBC gets in on the act because of the relationship with The Rock. And then there you go. You got 2 TV deals, 12-team league, kicking off in April, ending in July, and it's going to be awesome to see the XFL back. I can't wait. Boom, book it.
Now, would you be if it's more than 12?
If you will it is no dream.
I'd be okay if it's a little bit. If it's 14, that's fine by me. If it's 10, I'm okay. I'm even good with the 8. I think there's bigger aspirations from Danny Garcia and The Rock and Redbird Capital. Did I just say ownership? I'm going to say ownership.
Yeah, just say ownership. That's what I say. Ownership.
There is bigger aspirations from owners. There's bigger aspirations from ownership. Danny Garcia, The Rock, Redbird Capital. Look, there's huge aspirations from them, and I think that 8 is too low. 12 might be right. That's great. The rest of my road really is I want to have something like the Summer Showcase again, to kind of get your name out there. See The Rock out there, with some shades, watching football players play would be great. I'd love to see that happen. We're going to get a TV deal at some point. Can't wait for that.
Bonus reality shows or whatever, content as they call it.
When you say reality, don't say reality. I think what you're meaning is like, because I don't want something like the Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Like a documenting the build up to the league with cameras inside of camps and locker rooms and more interviews.
So let's talk about that really quick, because what did the XFL do? Because I know you're trying to get out of here because people are going to barge in here and start yelling at you. But what did the XFL not do on their last road that you'd want to see on this road? Because we didn't get access to things like that.
We were the only ones doing it.
Yes.
So someone doing some of the work besides us. No, I'm kidding. I mean, ideally, it just would be us.
I'm just us doing
a part of all that.
Hey, Bryant, can you go to St. Louis this week? I guess.
But I would like to see, just formal, like maybe 22-minute weekly show that will give us access to the XFL, whether it's a panel show or people sitting at desks talking from a league studio, that traditional style, or if it's, more Hollywood, like a Hard Knocks style show. I'd like to see something like that, because you can't, it's tough to just kick off and then expect people to be jumping on board. You can get people to watch. I mean, it costs money, but those shows don't cost that much money to produce. So just the effort and the time. Yeah. So doing that will, I think, go a long way in terms of winning over new fans and informing people the way we try to every single week. That you're just trying to get out there to a bigger audience. You have The Rock sending out one tweet, hey, there's an XFL show, even though you're 3 months away from kickoff. You got people anticipating kickoff.
And you watch, if it's good quality show, good quality production, then you're going to have people give you reasons why they want to watch even if your ratings spike. I mean, the XFL was on WWE in 2001 every single week. Twice, because it had SmackDown. 3 times if there was a pay-per-view leading up to it. That's why the ratings were so high the first 2 weeks, right? Because people were anticipating. Liver, obviously, so that's what happened. But the XFL this time around can have that same kind of exposure with social media, with a lot. Give yourself that network. Put something on YouTube. It costs literally nothing to upload a video to YouTube. Nothing. Yeah. And so if you can do that, then at the end of the day, you're just going to get more eyeballs on your product, at least for that first week, and some of them are going to stick around.
Pre-kickoff XFL social media was there could have been a lot. The social media team for the XFL was incredible, but a lot more could be done pre-kickoff. Once they kicked off, I mean, the XFL social media was some of the most innovative, fun, interesting stuff you'd see online, and just feel like leading up to it, there can be so much done. That maybe it was just tough to figure out exactly what that was, but I think if that's focused on and just done, just even in a minimalist sort of way, but consistently in the lead to kick off, like especially if you're kicking off in April, January, start producing stuff, shows, content, social media, and get people talking about the league way before kickoff.
I don't want a 2-minute kickoff show be right before kickoff.
Yeah.
If kickoff is at 9 and you come on the air at 9 and say, this is the XFL kickoff show, and it's a 2-minute kickoff show, don't want that. I want something leading up to it. I want something closing it as well. Because, these games finish, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, that was it.
Yeah. Well,
it's like the end of the Truman Show. You ever watch the end of the Truman Show when Truman finally says goodbye? Spoiler alert to everyone. He says goodbye. He's like, good evening, good night. And then they cut transmission. Everyone's like, now what do we do? Like, I want people to, people want to talk about the show. They want to react, especially if you're that passionate.
And
the team, so.
And if they need ideas or people to be a part of it, we're available. We're here.
Available 24/7, 365. It's just, I don't know, 365.
We're here. Yeah, hashtag we want our jobs back.
Hashtag we want our jobs.
There it is, right there. Oh, it really is here. See, this is and also first show I've done with pants on in many months.
No shoes though.
No shoes. Just because we're in the same room.
Alan, it's been good to have you back. This road is going to get longer and longer, it feels like, even though it's going to get shorter and shorter technically. But there's so much that still needs to happen. Here, I'll ask you this last question. When do we target our first chunk of news? When do you want to buy?
I'm willing it, and I'm going to get it September when everybody's watching football. We're going to get some XFL news.
August 5th.
August 5th. Oh!
August 5th.
Oh, get out of town. Shots fired.
August 5th.
The CFL.
We'll see what happens. But either way, we're going to be here every single
week. Week 3 of the NFL.
I try to do this by memory because I don't have my reader in front of me. But we're here every single week right here on your favorite podcast app. That's Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, or wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you give us that 5-star review and tell your friends about us.
Got this. Come on.
If you got a question, comment, or a topic you want us to cover, then go on and text or call the XFL Fan Line 724-565-4XFL. Remember, standard text messaging rates do apply. Also, follow us on social media at XFL Show, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, maybe TikTok one day as well. Oh, and if you want to come and say hi to me and Alan, then follow us and subscribe on YouTube at xfl.show.
Oh, I thought you were going to give your address because we're both right here.
The official YouTube page of This is the XFL Show. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Pretty Easy Podcast. Go to prettyeasypodcast.com and get started today because they make podcasting pretty easy.
Nice. High five. We could do that.
Yes.
Live in person, baby. Interacting with human beings, podcasting with friends. It's a good time waiting for a league to kick off again. It's like deja vu. Feels like I'm in. Did I go back to 2018 or no?
Basically, what we did, it's as much as I say I love to do this, I want football. I want there to be answers to my questions, and the only way to answer those is with football being played on grass or AstroTurf or whatever it is that they use in St. Louis. That's what I want, field turf.
Well, in 2023, who knows? They could be playing on something completely new. That's so far in the future. Just think, 2023, when we do kickoff, also, I'll leave it on this. It'll be the kickoff of the next XFL will be 5 years after it was announced to be returning.
That's true.
That's insane.
After the return, the announcement of the return, 3 years after the initial kickoff.
Been a fever dream I've been living in of XFL.
The Wildcats were supposed to be 3-time champs by then.
They should have been.
Jeez.
They were on the road too. I don't know.
4-time if you count the.
I just hope Josh Johnson has some gas in the tank then too. We didn't even talk players, but of course that's my MVP.
Oh, MVP. Either way, man, I mean, it's exciting. It's great to have you back in here. Mm-hmm. I'm sure we'll be doing this more and more often.
Yeah, who knows? Wherever I am.
Wherever you are.
I don't know where I'm going on. I got more road
I'm in Miami.
to
Where are you at? Oh, I'm in New Jersey, dude. What are you doing down there?
I'll be all over. Might be back in person together again before, I hit the road again. We'll see, though. But for everybody out there, again, thank you for watching and listening. And again, if you didn't check out that Dave Naylor interview, watch that or listen to it on your favorite podcast app. A lot of great information there. Next week, we manifested the road. We're going to maybe get into that USFL idea that I was throwing out there just for funsies. And, of course, any news that comes out.
For sure. Make sure you guys check us out on your favorite podcast. Take care of each other. It's getting a little weary out there. Be safe.
And responsible.
And be nice. And share your Apple ID with your family members.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Just
$1. It's 99 cents.
Even if they are spending money on apps that, you're like, what do you need that for? If it charges you, who cares? They're family, right? When you're here, you're family. Speaking of, I'm going to go eat, see what's in Bryant's fridge. Finish the show up. All right, everybody. For him, that's Bryant. Next to me, I'm Alan. This is the XFL show. Remember, they're listening.